Welcome back. I'm Tommy, the Angry Craftsman, and today we are going to do a in-detailed walkthrough of the RotoBoss Junior 2.0 and the PiBurn 3.0 rotor rollaries for the lasers. Now, specifically, mine are designed for the Thunder, so as we move through, understand that. So stay tuned, find out what I find out as I start digging into these. And at the end, we'll discuss which one seems to be a little bit better or if they're both the same. So as we go through both of these rotaries, I've made some notes. I've already done some measurements to try to keep this as short and less boring as possible. So we'll start with the RotoBoss Junior 2.0. The overall look of it is, my opinion, fantastic. I like the attention to detail that they put on the chamfer. And that's on all edges of it. It kind of gives it an overall higher end appearance. Moving to the PiBurn, it's very simple. The appearance is there. It's completely functionable. I think that the little added detail that RotoBoss rotary accessories adds to it is a little bit nicer. Now we're going to move to the motors. Looking at this stepper motor, and then comparing it to what I could see on the PiBurn, they look almost identical. It would not surprise me if they are the exact same motor. And I will preface that with both of these are designed or set up for the Thunder Laser Novas. The one thing that I can say about the whole setup for the motor is I do like the cover that covers the wires. It gives a nice clean look with some protection for the plugs that are there, where the RotoBoss Junior has exposed wires to the outside environment, not exposed wires where you're going to get electrocuted, and it's zip tied to that. Now, re-looking at the motor, let's say that I decide that I have to replace my motor. RotoBoss has these screws that bolt the motor in place. And as you can see from the other side, they're threaded all the way through. PiBurn, on the other hand, has the same style bolts, but they have a lock washer, or excuse me, a lock nut on the end of it. The lock nut does make for more secure. However, as the end user, it might be a little bit more difficult to get the Allen key as well as a wrench in there to adjust it. You have to take off, and if you'll notice, the cover is screwed in all in one piece. So I could not take the cover off without the risk of loosening or altering the motor to show the actual stepper motor itself. So whichever one you like the best. For me, the RotoBoss definitely makes life a lot easier if I have to remove that motor or switch it out if something goes wrong. What could take 10 minutes there, maybe 20 or 30 minutes with a lot of profanity just because of my hands and the way they work. So looking at the drive pulley for PiBurn, it's a lot smaller. Looks like it's either milled or cast aluminum. I figure it's milled. And it's got two set screws. One set screw that's sitting on the flat of the shank, then an additional one for security, I assume. And RotoBoss has the same set screw sitting on that flat with the additional. So other than the drive pulley being bigger, and if I remember correctly from my mechanical stuff, the bigger drive pulley allows for lower steps per rotation, where the smaller one is more of a higher step per rotation. So as you saw me moving the pulleys to turn the motor, I can freely, I feel the steps or the clicks as the motor turns. I've got no issues. There's no massive clicking or anything like that. And then as I move to the RotoBoss, same concept. They both spin by my hand equally. So I don't see any real difference there. While we're here, let's talk about the clamp here. So this clamp, sorry about that. This clamp is designed for one finger underneath of it and squeezing, or you can, the one thing I can say is this does not, because of the design, this does not move up as far as maybe I would like it. Now as we move over to the PiBurn, this one has a spring on top with a tensioner, so I can tighten it and make it stiffer, which also tightens it down so it doesn't, and it still lifts up for the most part the same. Now underneath of here is the adjustment, the front adjustment foot, I should say, or whatever they call it. With the screw, this allows for you to adjust where your cup, tumbler, glass, whatever it is, sits up front. This looks to be plastic and printed. It is 3D printed. I can feel the grooves on it. And if I move back, so RotoBoss does not have it on there. They give it additional that just screws in place so you can take it out as necessary for whatever you're doing or put it in. I know this is specifically designed for cups with handles, and it also works well on the stemless wine glasses from, say, like JDS. Now, the main drive wheels on the RotoBoss, when I start looking at these, there looks to be a double bearing, one on each side, with the pulleys to the back. Here is your tensioner adjustment, straight out of the box. There is no issues with tension whatsoever. If you'll notice here, he's got a nice heavy duty nut and bolt that holds everything in place. As we move over to the PiBurn, you can see the bearings here, here and there. And I also noticed these tiny little nuts and bolts compared to the stouter ones on the RotoBoss. Let me pan this way and see. I can't tell if there's another set of bearings inside of here. But overall, you can see the design of it. Not too awful bad. You know, again, you've got bolts with lock washers to help hold everything in place. And back over here is the same thing. So one's just a little stouter than the other, but they both serve the same purpose. Now, because the PiBurn has the motor mounted to the outside and the belt system on the inside, if something ever goes wrong, It looks like you just take these off and can adjust from there. Now, because that's on the inside, that may get a little bit more difficult because of the way the wheels are set. Now, as I change over to here, RotoBoss has all of their belt and pulley on the outside of it, which in reality looks like an easier and simpler way of, if something ever goes wrong, of switching your belts out. I can't see these actually being an issue, but it's just something to take note of. Now I want to talk about the pulley tensioning system. So I've taken the clamp off just so everybody can get a better view. So on the PiBurn, the way this works is there's your idler pulley, which is also it's like an idler pulley, and it's your tension. So PiBurn has a slot with the nut and bolt. To adjust, you loosen. You have to try to push down to get some belt tension, and then tighten this up at the same time. Might be a little bit of a difficulty there. And again, on the RotoBoss Junior 2.0, I did the same thing. I took that off. So here's your idler pulley. And then they have a specific belt tensioner that pushes down to tighten the belts. And you'll notice on this, belts are fairly tight. If I come back over here to the PiBurn, they're a little looser. So that's definitely one difference. Another difference that I noticed on the build quality and whatnot. Because of the design for the tensioner and the way the wheels and pulleys are set up on the PiBurn, if I hold, I can pull them apart, and I shouldn't really be able to do this because of the way it's not catching and holding on the belt. When I move over to the RotoBoss Junior and do the same thing, I can't move the drive wheels at all. They rotate together, but there is no rotating them apart due to the build construction of it. So in my mind, the build quality, that's a little bit better. Now we take a look at the drive wheels. What looks to be, to me, is solid, maybe billet aluminum that's been milled with the black O-rings. And these O-rings appear to be molded. That's what all the white is mold release. It's a normal thing. We do molding here as well, so I'm quite familiar with it. The solid design looks pretty good. The chamfering, again, letting the aluminum shine is a nice touch. And then you can also see the two bolts where that cup spacer bolts into place. It's actually really easy to get it in there. I may go through that here in a little bit. Now, as I move over to the PiBurn, what looks like to be, again, is maybe machined billet aluminum, but it's hollow with the three spokes, more like a vehicle or truck wheel with the rubber gasket material over top of it. Ours is a little black from being used so much and not taking the time to clean out, but these O-rings pop off very easy. And with one hand, it's a pain in the butt to get back on. I'll get back to that here in a second. Where the RotoBoss, I'm having a difficult time. I figure if I got my fingernail in there or something, but I don't really want to damage the O-rings. So that is definitely a difference that you might come into, is those gaskets or O-rings on the drive wheels. So now that we've covered both of the drive section of the rotary, let's move on to the next. So the frame on both is pretty much identical sizes, and what looks to be identical shape. So there's no real difference there. The same thing with the tower here. This part of the tower here is pretty much the same, whether it's billet or extruded aluminum. That I don't know. Generally speaking, on the tower, the brackets that hold the auxiliary wheels are generally shaped the same. If you'll notice on the RotoBoss, the auxiliary wheels, they spin freely because there are bearings on both sides. So there's 2 bearings on this, where the PiBurn, that might be a small bearing in there, but the way it feels, it isn't. And it's bolted in place and it just kind of spins freely. Same concept with the rubber gaskets there. And then your roller for your cup support. RotoBoss does not come standard with that right now. I think there is talk about adding that in the packages altogether, but I'm not sure. What RotoBoss comes with is a aluminum back plate or heel plate that can be taken off and added a wheel as an accessory. As we move back over here, looking at other things, so this is your locking nut to keep your tower in one spot. So I have this locked. It's tight, but I can still move it freely. Tighten it up a little bit more, I can still move it freely. This is one of the issues that I have with the PiBurn, is I can move it by touching it. Now, I don't know if their 4.0 version has that same issue, so I can't speak to that. If they change some designs, then it would hopefully have fixed that. Moving back over here, there's no pushing that down. Spins freely, spins freely. I did notice that RotoBoss, this spinning is tight, and then it's very slow to go down. That way you've got an ease for micro adjustments, versus this one, it's fast to spin up or spin down. So micro adjustments may not be the greatest thing in the world. And what I've determined is, and I could be wrong, because of that threaded bolt right there and the pitch and number of threads is what allows this to spin fast, versus this pitch and number controls it. RotoBoss also has this anti-backlash system in here, nut in here, which prevents this from moving. And trust me, I've tried. Here's the locking nut for locking this in place if you so choose to. And here's the locking nut for the PiBurn. So that's all the way down. Yes, I can move it. That's all the way down. And yes, I can move it. Both of them take a little bit of ass to move, but for the most part, it works. Now, the neat thing I found about the RotoBoss Junior here is the ball thread. I can make minor adjustments using this, or the way it's designed once this is loosened up. This pushes forward nice and easy. To pull it back, you see that washer right there? And I don't have two hands, or this would work stupid easy. You can slide it back, or you can make the micro adjustments based on this. Now, I do know that I can detach this, pull the thread out from under here, and this functions the same way as this. So that is an option that RotoBoss gives you, is that can be removed if you so choose to. We're going to take this one first and talk about the overall layout of it. You'll notice that RotoBoss has these long, I'll call them legs, that are on both sides of the machine, making it quite sturdy. They also have built-in magnets to help hold down. I think they're 30 or 40 pound hold on them. So all in all, right off the bat, it's a fairly steady unit. Now moving to the PiBurn, the design on it is a tripod. And if you'll notice, the magnetic feet that you can purchase extra for an additional $74 something or $75, the way that they're designed that's just, this one specifically has always been an issue. No matter how hard I tighten it, if you move it, it still likes to loosen and wiggle. So the tripod, would say design of this, it's still fairly sturdy, but that gets a little annoying when the feet decide that they want to loosen and unlock from themselves, which installing it or pulling it out, sitting it on a flat surface, has a tendency to be a slight pain. Again, with this, even with it loose, I'm not getting really any wiggle. Little bit. With the RotoBoss loose, there is no wiggle. Because of the screw here and the way it's designed, there is no wobble to it whatsoever. I think some of the issues might be this type of V-notch wheel that they use to allow it to roll versus the solid with the chamfers on the outside of them, which appear to be a little bit more secure, but I could be wrong on that one. That could just be a personal opinion. Now we're going to look at, we were just talking about the feet and the magnets and how it's designed. So I've got this sitting on the honeycomb. Everything's adjusted. And this is the exact way it sits in the machine, that the motor is facing to the right as I look at the machine. Now, I'm using very minimal, but because of the design, the front is a lot less easier to move, where the back isn't because of the dual magnets. This is a lot lighter, but in reality, because they have the cork on the bottom of the magnets, or the bottom of the feet, I think it could be a little bit better and give a little bit more of a hold. Now, as far as side to side, it moved a little bit. Now let me move over to the other machine with the other rotary. Now we're in here with the other rotary. It's set down. This is the exact way it sits in the machine. Motor's on the left. Now, I had a little bit of movement. I think that could be fixed if RotoBoss added a little bit heavier magnet to it. However, with the weight and adding a heavier magnet, then for those that don't have upper body strength, little or a lot, pulling it up may be a lot more difficult. So I can understand why they don't do that. As far as tapping, it seems to hold a little bit better. The magnets do to the bottom. So all in all, I'm happy with that. Now, no, if you put any, it does slide, but magnets aren't designed to go on a horizontal movement. When you slip them side to side, then they break or they don't hold. The magnets are designed for this vertical. Now the sheer weight of the RotoBoss helps because it is a lot heavier than the PiBurn. So that may be a deciding factor as well. The weight doesn't bother me. I know for my wife, the RotoBoss was a hint on the heavy side, but that's just us getting used to it. Now, for demonstration purposes, this is a couple other things that we noticed. So the way the PiBurn is designed, it sets in with the motor to the right as you face it, like I said before. So this is pretty much set up, minus being plugged in. We've got it focused right. And when the rotary's done, or when the tumbler would be done, if we have to make adjustments, this is easily accessible because of the way it's designed. And then it's a quick push down, grab, and then reload. This is what we've been accustomed to over the past year. So for us, this workflow is extremely smooth, and it's what we're used to. Now we're going to move and do the exact same setup and demonstrate it with the RotoBoss. Moving to the other machine with the RotoBoss setup, same identical setup. The motor's to the left just like it should be. You'll notice that the cup sits to the front, not in line or behind the gantry. So, or from where you're sitting or standing. It's just something that we've noticed. Again, it's quick and easy. This pushes down. So what we're not used to is the distance that this rises. But again, that is a me issue. Had we had this from the start, we wouldn't know any difference. So this would work just fine and our workflow would have matched. What I did find out though is because of the way, if I had to at the last minute make any type of micro adjustments from this position, it is a little bit more difficult to reach underneath for me and adjust. Now, most people don't worry about, you shouldn't be adjusting by the time you get to this position anyway. It should already be leveled and everything else. So that takes that out of the equation. It's just something that we noticed. So both of them work just fine. Again, it's what we're used to. And it's not a RotoBoss issue. It's not a PiBurn issue. It's just what our workflow is used to. But I thought it was something that should be noted when or if you have both of these machines. Now that we have walked through both of them with their similarities and their differences, let's talk about the price. Price compare are pretty similar. Specifically the RotoBoss, ours is for Thunder, so I have to order it through Thunder. PiBurn, it's an additional $100 on top of the $849 to add the motor that works with the Thunder lasers. The feet were additional. RotoBoss, you don't have to order extra feet. You don't have to order any other parts. Shipping is generally about the same, maybe a little bit of difference. So when you actually start breaking them down, with the addition of the Thunder motor or the Thunder specific motor, the feet, they are about the same cost, give or take a few dollars. And just as a reminder, specifically the RotoBoss, if you're looking for a Thunder laser, you have to order through Thunder. Even ordering it through Thunder, they're still price comparable. So just to get that out of the way, again, they're both fantastic machines. Some of the issues that we have with the RotoBoss weren't issues per se with the device itself. It was a me issue. Because we've been accustomed to using this, there was a learning curve. I would make the assumption that if all we ever had was RotoBoss, there would be a learning curve to the PiBurn as well. So it goes both ways. Again, both are fantastic pieces of equipment. Now being said, looking over everything, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have stuck with or gone with the RotoBoss off the bat. And I know over the past year there's been some modifications, but currently that's what I would do. Again, with the PiBurn, we looked at upgrading the tower to their new system. The cost just wasn't worth it for us. I'm hoping that with that tower, and some minor modifications, if they made them or not, had they if they were able to add the anti-backlash to it, or change the pitch of that screw, I think things would have been better in figuring out something with the feet. But all in all, again, both fantastic pieces of equipment. They have their positive, they have their negatives, so I'll let you be the judge of that. And if I haven't already said it, I really don't care which one you pick. Pick one that you think you're going to like, whether it's cost, whether it's the design, the look, the color, what have you. So you make your decision. Now, looking at the cost, we already talked about that. I want to talk about the warranty. I searched on Lens Digital's website and I could not find anything about a warranty specific. That's not meaning it's not there. I just couldn't find it. I'm not the greatest with the whole internet searches thing. That's what I have a wife for. So, but in RotoBoss's website, or on RotoBoss's website, they have a lifetime warranty. So if somebody from Lens Digital can pipe up and leave a comment, tell us about your warranty. If you have one, that would be great. If not, oh well, no big deal. If you got questions about the two that I didn't cover, feel free to leave a comment. I will do my best to answer them. I hope I haven't, stirred the pot on this. Again, everybody has their own opinions. I've tried to keep my opinion out of it, just going by, what I've seen with the build, the quality, the look, things of that nature. So again, feel free to leave me a comment if you'd like, and I will answer accordingly. But hopefully you've enjoyed this. I hope that you have found something interesting in it to help you make your decision. So hopefully with that, I hope y'all have a great day.